Good evening, wherever you are in this beautiful world of ours. Welcome to another episode of Healing in Ways You Never Thought Possible with myself, host Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner. I am actually, you notice I'm not in my office today. I'm actually on the road. I'm in Mount Shasta, having my own little spiritual retreat for this next week. Those things are so important, especially when we talk about mental health and our ability to be able to nurture ourselves so we could be available to support others. So, in the essence of Mental Health Awareness Month, which is May, we're in the month of May, I have a very special guest who's going to be with us today. Her name is Nancy Benitez, and she is I'm going to just read a little bit here. She is a devoted mother, committed partner, committed parent educator, inspiring coach, and author. Her journey began with the heartbreaking loss of her mother to cancer during her teenage years, which resulted in a battle with eating disorders, depression, and suicidal tendencies. So I just want to piggyback on that right now because, so often it's so uncomfortable for many of us to talk about death, especially when a young person loses a parent, a caretaker, a significant other. Sometimes we are so uncomfortable with what we are experiencing about that. Our natural tendency is to go silent. And we know that when we go silent, the elephant still exists in the room. And it's time that we need to address that. So I'm so excited to welcome Nancy. And so good morning, Nancy.
Good
Coming from
morning.
beautiful Sarasota, Florida.
Yes, thank you so much for having me and
You are so
this
welcome.
opportunity. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So tell us more about your journey. I mean, first of all, my condolences to you to losing, your mother at a very, very young and tender age. But share your experience with that because I think our audience needs to know from your perspective who actually experienced that, what that was like.
Yeah. And, I really know that being a parent educator, there's a lot of teenagers out there who aren't able to share or aren't able to talk. And just having someone know what it was like, I think, is also helpful. So when I had just turned 16, I was actually 15 when my brother and I got the news that my mom had leukemia. And, back then, cancer wasn't really spoken about, right? Nobody really knew what it was. There wasn't a lot of treatments, things like that. And in my mind, cancer was like a cold, right? It was like, oh, it's going to go away. We're going to go back to having our beautiful little family of four. And, I didn't pay much attention to it until my mom started getting sicker. So I remember vividly. So my mom got sick in March. We went through chemo with her. We did everything. We were in the hospital all the time. She had a period where she got better, but then it relapsed. And in September, she ended up passing away. So you can imagine for this 15, I turned 16 in the hospital with my mom watching her, just go through a year nurse, the spinal thing, all the chemo back then was different than it is today, and just watching her suffer. And, I feel like when a teenager or a tween or even like a young kid goes through this, you have to grow up so fast and you have so many questions. You don't have all the knowledge. Your brain is not fully developed to grasp like what is going on. And for me, being just 16, right? You're 16, your body is changing, like you're going through what teenagers go through, and you're not able
Absolutely.
to process that. Now you have this also. And so I had to take care of my brother. So my mom passed away, and I had the honor of watching her take her last breath, which I would not have in any other way. It was the most beautiful, the most heartbreaking thing I will ever experience.
And a true gift, actually.
Yeah, yeah, it was so peaceful, and I knew that she was going to be in a better place. I knew that all the pain she had gone through in those months was really, really beautiful. And so she was gone, and I remember running out into the hallway and just screaming, and all of these thoughts of, she's not going to watch me have a baby, she's not going to watch me get married, she's not going to even go to my graduation, which, I didn't even go to because she wasn't around. And
Mm,
so as a teenager, you have all of these emotions flooding through that you don't know what to do with, and I didn't have anyone. I didn't have anybody to share this with. My father was working nights. My brother was doing drugs. I was doing my best to take care of him. He had his own journey with this. And so it was like, I don't even remember a lot of it because I think my subconscious mind just blocked it out, but it was devastating. I cried every day for a few years, and in all of this, I feel like if I could give the adults in the teens who have lost their parents, who have lost somebody they care about, lives, is really allow them to talk until they can't talk about it anymore. I had no one. I suppressed everything down. I had to take my mom's place by cooking dinner, doing the chores. I had to take care of my brother. I had to try to go to high school. Um, and so I had no one to talk to, no one,
yeah. You must
and
have felt so alone and isolated.
I did. I did, and I remember thinking, even looking back now, if I could just have had somebody to talk to, if someone could just have been like, "You're going to be okay. Let me hear what you have, what's on your heart, what questions you have," and just really listen. It would have been a game changer. But instead, I took to bulimia. I suicidal tendencies. My brother and I would sit there and talk about how we were going to kill ourselves. And, at one point got all the stuff that we needed to do it without pain. And we didn't, luckily.
Thank
But
God.
yeah, right.
I'm glad you're here today to share your
Yeah,
story. Thank you.
yeah, and I was
Yes.
meant to help other parents or other caretakers of these beautiful teenagers, like, help them understand themselves and help them grieve and not just suppress everything. So later on, we have massive trauma when we're adults, you know? So
Yeah.
that's
Wow. I'm just sitting here like taking it all in, Nancy, because it's just like that's just way overwhelming. And um, in my heart of hearts, is no child should ever have to deal with that and feel
Mhm.
like they're isolated and alone. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah,
So out of this, there's always a silver lining. And I
absolutely.
know that you've written a book. So talk to us more about your book.
Yeah, so I wrote this. It's called a tiny book, so it's 60 pages, and it's
Perfect size.
right, just enough so for somebody to get through it. And it's 20 questions that parents should ask their teenagers when it comes to really wanting to have a better relationship, really connecting with them. And I wrote this book from, like, my teen self, who really had a hard time, as you have heard. I wrote it from my mom self because I have a 14-year-old, and with the help of my daughter, with the help of other coaches who have teenagers. And it's full of 20 questions, and these questions range from subjects such as, like, school, to ask your kids, to the loss of a parent, to talking about friendship and what that means, and just different questions that are really hard to talk about when it comes to raising a teenager, to open up conversation, right? And so I wrote this just as a gift to parents who are really struggling with having trust and communication with their teenagers.
Yeah.
And I love it. I use these questions with my own daughter, with friends, and it's really beautiful. It's full of just conversation starters, these 20
Yeah.
questions.
Well,
So
and I think today too, I'm not a parent, so I can't speak from personal experience, but I witness a lot of other, family friends who have children and the importance of good communication. And even as an auntie,
yeah,
good
yeah,
communication is a real important thing as well because, you're still part of the clan, your clan group, but it's about reaching out and connecting with people. And sometimes it's about having those difficult conversations.
Yeah.
about, what had just happened. And in your case, the passing of your mother, your beloved mother. I mean, it's just like, these things are so important.
Yeah.
And, I think sometimes from the adult standpoint, we feel helpless because we have nothing to offer. So we just don't say anything or
Yeah.
even ask.
Yeah.
And I invite people to pivot on that and just hold the space for them.
Yeah.
Just listening is enough. And I agree with you on that. It's just
Mhm.
like they just need to talk it through sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share one thing too.
Sure.
My whole thing is always like also helping parents heal their own hearts.
Ah, yes.
And watching the way my dad kind of disappeared from my brother and I's life because he was doing his own grieving is by approaching it doesn't matter if you're an auntie, it doesn't matter if you're an adult and you see somebody close to you who's a teenager who has lost someone, that means you lost someone too as an adult, right? It
Yeah.
means you're grieving, it means that you're having a hard time. And so really just asking yourself these questions, not just your teenager, but in conversation, say with your teenager or your young adult, it will help you heal too as an adult, right? Because
Mhm.
my dad, if he could have talked to someone, if he would have allowed himself to grieve, if he would have had support, I know he wouldn't have disappeared from my brother and I's life, right? I mean, it disappear in the sense of emotionally, like he worked nights and he supported us and he did the best that he could, but he didn't grieve. He just emotionally was detached and wouldn't give us any affection and wouldn't engage. He wasn't even talking about her,
Yeah.
and so I think healing the adult in you now, even if you have a teenager or a tween or whatever it is really important to allow yourself to have that as well.
I agree. And, I feel it's an essential part of the grieving process too. And, I know through being in healthcare for so long and in my own personal experience, it's so important that you express and you go through your grief. You're going to go through your grief in your own way and time. And there's no time limit on it. It's
Mhm.
just like, what, you're, whenever you have a loved one that's passed. I too lost my mother probably about 10 years ago, but it's
Yeah,
just like it's moments like that where it's just like you think about them and it's just like, oh, I miss their presence.
yeah,
It's just like you're
yeah,
still grieving. You're going to continuously grieving. It just changes and evolves to something, more, you know, it's like
yeah.
I don't think we ever get over that. you know
No, no,
you
the
don't. And
song.
it's just like,
Yeah,
when people say, suck it up, buttercup, it's just like, run
yeah.
for the hills, because that's just not what is normal. Do you ever have this experience? It's like, you're fine. And then all of a sudden, an overwhelming, you get this overwhelming feeling and then you're in it again. And then you're out of it. I kind of call it like the ocean effect. It's like the tide comes
Mhm.
in, the tide goes out, and then a big wave comes in and then it goes out. It's just like that's what grieving's like.
Yeah, the ebb and the flow
Yeah, it's just like
is
it's a dance, and you know what? Uh, Yeah, when you think it's over, that's
yeah.
when the universe says, "But wait, there's more."
Yeah, right. We're always stretching, we're always expanding, and
Exactly, exactly.
it's so much happened after that, after I allowed myself to heal. I see my daughter, like you're saying, and she reminds me so much of my mom, like her heart
Yeah,
and her light. And, sometimes I'll just like start to cry just because like I miss her. She's with me. I really feel that
yeah,
she guided me to not commit suicide, not to go, I did hit rock bottom, but not to stay there,
yeah.
and I have those moments. I just look over at her and she has her like dimples and her sweet smile. And I'm just like, oh goodness, my mom was taken, but I also now have this beautiful daughter who's such an incredible part of my life, and
Yeah.
a lot of what happened afterwards allowed me to have the journey I have now, to helping parents and tons of people, coaching and doing all of that. And so I'm very grateful that I had this, because I can now help other parents,
Absolutely.
caretakers slip
Absolutely.
through
You
it too.
know,
Yeah.
sometimes we go through whatever we go through because we become the authentic teacher and we could help other people. So
Yeah.
I'm so pleased that you're doing that and you're doing amazing work. I actually popped in the link below, and I that's is that how to get your book, or is that how to get in contact with you? Or
Yeah, so I because this book is my complete passion, if you go to this website, you can sign up to get a free digital copy of the
awesome.
book.
What
Yeah,
a
so you
beautiful
can
gift.
use it. There's a physical copy. It's on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, and you can
Hmm.
look up My Teen and Me by my name, Nancy Benitez, and you can buy the book. I think it's like $11.99, $12 on there, and you get, the
Well
actual
worth the investment.
yes.
If
And it
it's
has
going to
room to
help,
write in it.
yeah,
It has prompts for you to actually like think about and then talk with your
that's
team. So
awesome.
it's not
Yeah.
just questions. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
So, do you coach people? Do you offer classes? What do you do anything like
Y-
that?
y-
Or
Yeah, I do. I actually in July I am starting a parents like community membership where you get the first month free to see if you like it. And then if you do, you can stay in and it's going to be like 15 minutes of teaching from me. And then I'm just going to open it up to parents and whatever questions they have for like 45 minutes.
well,
And
that's going
so
to be an awesome resource.
yeah, and so I feel like parents can come on there if you have something that's really bothering you about your teen and you need some, feedback or advice. It's not just going to be me, it's going to be other parents who are going through it,
Hmm.
like you. And
Yeah.
so I'm starting to create this community where we can support each other because that's what it's about, right? We're trying to raise good humans, who are secure and who love life and, who
Hmm.
will heal past their own trauma too and know how to do that.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. And I joke about this too because I'm in healthcare. It's just like
mhm,
I always tell the instructors who are teaching the new people. I said, teach them well. Guess what? They're going to be taking care of us.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So it's,
So yes, we want to be able to
mhm,
to bring out the best in them,
yeah,
and
exactly.
allow them to move beyond surviving to thriving, because no person should really have to go and survive. Go move through what you've gone through, and other people in similar situations have had to go through as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I could just listening could is night and day. Just listening to their heart and what's going on is huge. Just huge. Just being present for your kids or
Oh,
whoever you're taking care of. Yeah.
absolutely. It's just like I think one of the essential things of being a human being is the importance of being heard.
Exactly. Yeah. Not just teenagers, right? It's
Yeah,
all of us. We all
it's
want to be
all
seen,
of us.
heard,
Yeah.
and know that
Just want to
we're
be
loved.
seen, heard, validated, loved, appreciated. But
Yeah.
yeah, to really be heard though, because it's just like they, oh my God, I can't even imagine what you went through. And I so appreciate pulling up your bootstraps
Yeah.
and moving forward and creating a very beautiful life for yourself where you're inspiring and helping so many people. Thank
Yeah,
you for that from the
yeah,
bottom of my heart.
of course. And we're here to help each other. We are all one, and truly believe that if we help others, we're healing ourselves too, right? It's like we're helping our teenagers, but we're also helping our own healing as well.
Yeah.
So definitely.
So Nancy, as we wrap up this session of Miraculous Healing series, do you have any last words you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of, into my adult life, I felt like self forgiveness was really important. Um, and I could sit here and talk about this story all day long, but I feel like I needed to also forgive myself because there was a lot of things that happened from the time my mom passed away to the time, I was an adult. And I felt like the biggest part is self compassion. It's grace and forgiveness of ourselves because we do things that we're not always proud of. And I think that's the biggest piece in our healing, especially if we're talking to our teenagers, and also teaching them that grace, compassion, and self forgiveness is so important.
Well,
So,
I agree. And they don't teach us that when we're young.
no,
So, what a gift to be able to teach our children in this generation so things could possibly be different.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So thank you for having me on here.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank
And
you.
so we're going to be wrapping up here, and I thank the audience for listening. And if you would like to get in touch with Nancy, um, you could get in touch with her through her website here. It's https:// or is it backslash www.aoa.wtf/my teen and me. So, and once again, too, thank you so much for listening. And if you like what you hear today, I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to grow our following, and you could find that at dr.doloresfazzino.com or Healing in Ways You Never Thought Possible. And finally, if you are having a challenge with staying in the present moment, let's face it, there's so much stuff swirling around us that sometimes we get distracted. It's like, squirrel, oops, here I go.
Yeah.
This is a great meditation that I put together for people, and it's 5 minutes. It's very short, but it helps you stay present in the moment. So I invite you to go to drdoloresfazzino.com/free-video to get your free meditation to be in the present moment.
Yes, it's
So,
beautiful. I loved it.
thank you so much, Nancy. I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah.
So anyway, here we are, and we're signing off, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode of Healing in Ways You Never Thought Possible, our Miraculous Healing series. Bye for now.